Welcome to the Brown Carpet Podcast. My name's Corey Farrell.
And I'm Josh Groom.
And Josh, I've been wanting to ask you for so long now. It's been racing in my mind like a mile a minute.
Oh, this feels awkward. Just say it, mate. Just say it.
Do I say it?
Oh, come on, mate. Just come out with it.
What do we do on this podcast?
Mate, each week we get together and we take two real news stories and we turn them into bad pitches for movies.
That's okay.
That's what we do.
So that's one part of it. What else?
That's the first part of it. The second part is that then the listeners who've listened to the podcast, they can then jump onto Facebook. They'll find a poll. They can vote for the pitch that they think is the best. At the end of the week, we make a movie poster for the winner.
That's amazing.
Well, that's it, mate. That's what you've been waiting for.
Wow.
Yeah.
I suggest go to Spotify.
Yep.
Subscribe.
Jump on Stitcher. Subscribe.
iHeartRadio.
Why not?
YouTube.
We got a channel.
Everywhere.
Yep. Don't just search your own phone. Steal your mum's phone.
Steal your mum's phone. Steal your weird uncle's phone.
Yep.
Don't look in his photos. Don't probably
do not go into the photo archive.
I think it's a good idea. We think it's a good idea, but we're only two people. We're only human, flesh and blood.
Who are we to say?
Enjoy.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
He jumped over 3 linebackers in midair, sprouted inwards like a gazelle.
No one laughs at a master of quack fool.
Real nice. Many have died from starvation due to the difficulty of finding enough food, such as seals.
No more Mr. Nice Duck. That's it. Right, Mr. Sitz?
What do you make of that? You know, it's the most fantastic story I've ever heard.
The Brown Carpet Podcast.
Welcome to the 15th episode.
It's great to have you here.
Yeah, thank you.
Not you, the listeners.
Oh, okay.
I see you every week. It's not that special.
This is where he comes in. Josh comes straight in with the jibes.
In with the jabs.
Bang, bang. He gets me.
Low-hanging fruit Farrell.
Josh, I'll have you know I spent a lot of time this week on my pitch.
How many minutes did you spend? Double figures?
Oh, I'd like to think it was just shy of 20 minutes.
Ooh, I think that's an exaggeration, if we're completely honest with ourselves.
Well, you'll see in due
How long
course.
was your lunch break? And how long did it take you to eat? Because you
Hang
slapped
on,
that shit together.
factor in my sandwich, carry the one. Yeah, look, just shy of 20 minutes, but I think I work in small bursts.
Yeah, right. Little explosions. Microdoses of creativity from Corey Farrell coming at you.
A microdose.
Yep.
Ingenious.
Well, let's plough straight into it. I can't wait to hear what you've come up with.
Should we do paper, rock,
Let's
scissors?
do paper, rock, scissors.
1, 2, 3.
You are so predictable.
Yeah.
You've gone paper like 6
I know.
weeks in a row.
We're going to have to bust it out to best out of 3 just so I get a shot, I think.
We might have to.
Josh, I know you've got something special for us. We actually had a clean swap this week.
Yeah.
We both found each other's news stories.
I found a story that I thought would work for Corey and vice versa.
Yep.
So the headline that Corey handed to me is skier lost in New York has no idea how he ended up in California.
This is a good one.
It is a good one.
Yeah.
The man was reportedly still dressed in his ski clothes and had no idea what day it was. He also had a new phone and a fresh haircut. In a bizarre, mysterious turn of events, a Canadian firefighter who went missing during a New York ski trip last week was found wandering in Sacramento, California on Tuesday with no clear memory of how he got here. He was even wearing the same ski gear he had disappeared in, with no idea what day it was. Danny, I'm going to butcher another surname.
What is it?
Here it comes. Danny Philippidis.
Why did you say it like that?
Philippidis? There's a lot of D's and L's where they shouldn't be.
Are you auditioning for Sesame Street? What happened?
Let's just call him Danny.
Yeah.
Danny was last seen February 7th at Whiteface Mountain in upstate New York after leaving a group of work friends to go on one more ski run at the end of the day.
And ingest Rehypnol.
When he never returned, his colleagues reported him missing and law enforcement kicked off a massive manhunt, but the nearly 200-person search was unsuccessful and no one found any trace of the man until nearly a week later when a disorientated Danny called his wife from Northern California, almost 3,000 miles from where he originally disappeared.
What's that phone call sound like?
I don't know, it's very...
Hey, honey.
Where the fuck have you been? Do you reckon she was pissed?
I reckon she was really pissed off.
Recognising his voice, Danny's wife told him to call 911. Authorities reportedly found him standing in a car rental lot near the Sacramento airport, confused and unable to give direct answers.
So he flew, didn't he? He got on a plane.
No, there are some clues. Danny says he couldn't remember details of how he got across the country in 6 days, but told police he remembers riding in a big rig style truck where he slept a lot.
Trucker sex.
There could be trucker sex. The cops said that he may have suffered a brain injury, but don't believe he was drugged or taken against his will.
No drugs in his system.
No drugs in the system.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's
All
a
right.
weird one.
How have you adapted that into a film?
Well, my film's title is Sasquatch Puncher.
I think it's all in the title.
Pretty much. Dan Felchburn, to be played by Chris Hemsworth, steps off the ski lift smoking a cigarette. He presses a button on his in-ear Bluetooth. Are you right, mate? Are you good?
Sorry.
I'm going to need to continue. All right.
God, yes. Go.
He presses a button on his in-ear Bluetooth receiver and calls his girlfriend Penny, to be played by Ronda Rousey. Dan tells her he's at the summit and he's on his way down, his last run of the day. She tells him she can't wait to see him and she'll heat up the hot tub for him. He makes his way. Can you stop laughing? I'm trying to read a story here.
You named a character Felchburn.
Yeah.
You can't blame me, please.
Reading out loud is not my strong point, and with you just shuddering in the corner, it makes things a little more difficult.
Okay, go. Carry on.
He makes his way across the ridge and glides up to the edge of the mountain. It's late in the day. He's the last skier at the peak, and the remains of a spectacular sunset is burning off into dusk. He takes a final drag off his ciggy before pulling on his goggles and pushing off. The powder is thick, and he carves through it with speed, style, and expertise. He catches some air off a snow-covered log and whooshes around a tight turn, tucking himself into an aerodynamic shape to maximise speed.
Yeah.
Without warning, from behind a tree comes a huge, hairy arm. Its clawed hand balled into a massive fist. The facial impact is sudden and brutal. Dan is clotheslined and spins like a rag doll before crashing down like a sack of wet laundry.
Bigfoot coat hanger.
He lies partially buried in the snow, semi-conscious with a bloodied and broken nose. The large clawed hand grabs his ankle and starts dragging him through the snow. He looks up, and through blurred vision and broken goggles, he sees what looks like an oversized, upright gorilla with red fur.
Date night.
It's Corey Saturday Night all over again. Dazed and concussed, he passes out. He wakes up in an empty barber shop. He's still wearing his ski gear and is bound tightly by gaffer tape to the barber's chair. He tries to struggle free, but he is mummified, his arms strapped to the chair and his legs wrapped down. His Bluetooth receiver is still in his ear, but with his hands bound, he can't activate it. He's gagged with more gaffer tape coiled around his head. He tries to call for help, but all that escapes is a quiet, muffled moaning. In walks a 9-foot female Bigfoot, holding a buzzing pair of hair clippers. Her name is Glurg, and she has shaggy red fur all over her body. Glurg is to be played by Kathy Bates.
Nice.
He's understandably horrified and struggles, but Glurg calms him down, introducing herself, and explains what's going on as she gently shaves his head. Dan has been hand-picked for training purposes for an upcoming title fight in the SFC, the Sasquatch Fighting Championship. The SFC is a massive underground Bigfoot fighting tournament. Because of his impressive build, endurance and fitness, he has been selected to help Torgon the Destroyer prepare for his upcoming title defense. Torgon, to be played by The Rock, is the reigning champion Sasquatch fighter in the SFC. He's 10 foot tall and almost as wide, a gargantuan muscular beast.
Can I just interject?
Please do.
Is this like a dog-fighting Sasquatch ring? Is that they abducted him to become, like, to use him as to fight?
Training purposes.
Training purposes.
Training
yeah.
purposes.
Like a
pre-fight scrimmage.
Like a bait dog for dog fighting.
If you will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because up until that moment...
Yep.
Sorry. I think it was...
You were still thinking about Felchburn.
No, it was like a great... Up until that moment... Yeah, I was thinking about Felchburn. Yeah. Up until that moment, it was great product placement for Bluetooth.
Oh, for Bluetooth?
Because it just stayed in.
I just kept dropping it in. Oh, no, it's still in his ear.
It's still his ear.
Right,
yeah, it's great. Anyway, sorry.
They never fall out. As part of his training regime, Torgon likes to spar with human men, as they are small and quick, and they help him maintain his reflexes without any real danger of an injury. In 3 days, Dan will fight against Torgon in a practice facility in California. His head now clean-shaven, Glurg puts down the clippers, picks up a rag doused in chloroform, and puts Dan to sleep. Dan drifts in and out of consciousness as he is transported cross-country in an animal transport truck. Instead of the usual livestock, he is surrounded by a truckload of sedated human fighters. Smelling salts rouse him from his blackout. He's in a holding pen, dressed in only a black fighting gi. Gi?
Yep.
You know what that is?
I know martial arts.
Sure you do. The first thing he sees is Glurg, leaning over him, just making sure he's conscious. She smiles a jagged-toothed grin and pats him on his head. Morning, Cupcake. She moves over to wake up...
She speaks English?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
She moves over to wake up the next sleeping fighter. Looking around, he sees a dozen other training partners. They are all on the far side of the pen, up against the metal fencing, breathlessly watching the caged octagon in the middle of the gymnasium. Dan moves over so he can see what they are looking at, and the sight is grisly. The cage is literally soaked in blood. There are body parts, innards, and bones littered around the octagon.
Shit.
Sitting in the far corner is Torgon the Destroyer, an absolute monster among monsters.
Yeah, destroyer by name, by nature, by the sound of
Exactly.
it. Jesus.
His once white fur is drenched red and he's breathing hard in the midst of a heavy training day.
Ooh.
He motions for another opponent. 2 Bigfoot, What's the plural of Bigfoot?
Big
What?
feet.
Big feet? 2 big feet.
No.
What's the collective noun for big feet?
Sasquatch.
What would you call a Sasquatch of big feet? Like a battalion?
No, not a
A
battalion.
burrito?
I'd
A
call
butt fuck?
a clump.
A clump of Bigfoot.
We can do better than that.
Well, there's only 2, so it's not a clump. There's
Okay.
just 2 of them.
Okay.
2 big feet approached the holding pen and wrenched the gate open, grabbing the nearest fighter and dragging him into the octagon. The fight begins and Torgon is clearly taking it easy, carefully working on his moves at half speed, but when his punches make contact, the impact is devastating, and the training partner is leaking blood within seconds. Above the cage, there is a digital clock counting down from 180 to 0. Dan asks one of the fighters what the clock means. Apparently, if you can survive 1 round with Torgon, you've earned your freedom. How many times does that happen? Dan asks. Not once. Before pointing to the far side of the room where a mountain of broken and twisted bodies are stacked like discarded chicken parts in a KFC dumpster. Just as the clock ticks under 100, Torgon delivers a savage spin kick that decapitates his opponent and sends his head bouncing off the octagon like some grisly pinball machine. Torgon seems annoyed that he's broken another fragile plaything so easily and immediately beckons for more. This time, the assistant Big Feet grab a couple of fighters, and Dan is unlucky enough to be selected and dragged towards the cage.
Oh, Dan.
Tossed into the cage like a chew toy, Dan rolls and pops up into a fighting stance. The other, unlucky fighter, to be played by Taylor Lautner, he lands close to Torgon and is immediately attacked. Torgon swipes his claw at him, but Ricky jumps back just in time to escape, but his gi is ripped open, exposing his muscular torso. This dude works out. Ricky flexes and charges at the Sasquatch, delivering a flurry of kicks and punches that stun the beast. He leaps into the air and aims a vicious spin kick at Torgon's chin, but the Sasquatch grabs his legs in midair and snaps him like a wishbone. In one swift overhand move, he hurls Ricky into the canvas, breaking his neck instantly.
Jesus.
Dan looks up at the clock, 155 seconds left. This doesn't look good. Torgon circles him, ready to strike. Dan initiates the action, head faking one way and swinging a reverse elbow at Torgon, but Torgon blocks it easily and jabs Dan in the face, shattering his nose and dropping him to his knees, blood pissing out of Dan's head. Torgon smiles, standing over him, and winds up to deliver the death blow. But before he can, the unmistakable sound of a double-barreled shotgun being racked freezes him. Behind him is Penny, it's Dan's girl, with a shotgun pointed directly at Torgon's face. "On your knees, you fuzzy fuck!" Torgon obeys. Dan stands, relieved but confused. "How did you find me?" Penny points to her ear, indicating Dan's Bluetooth receiver still wedged deep in his ear.
Phone call still going.
There it is. So she's been tracking the signal for days. "I figured you'd run off with that Dutch ski instructor, and this was for you," she says, nodding towards the gun. Dan smiles nervously as he stands up. Penny slowly steps towards Torgon and then, with lightning speed, she lashes out, punching him square in his Bigfoot ballsack. He makes a high-pitched squeak noise and crumples into a heap. Dan unlocks the holding pen, freeing the remaining fighters, and together, he and Penny back out of the gym.
Bang.
Bang.
So to me, it's kind of like a UFC meets Harry the Hendersons meets Misery.
Yeah.
A little bit.
A little bit like that.
Maybe not just Kathy Bates too literal, but before you give me the tagline and all that,
Okay.
how are you going to realise the Sasquatches?
I want to go full-blown photoreal. Like, Harry and the Henderson was about 65% there.
Yeah.
But
You want to take it to the limit?
I want to take it to the absolute limit. So this is going to be an expensive film.
Yep.
I'm thinking the Bigfoots are going to be like a complex mix of prosthetics, motion capture, CGI.
Wow.
Might get Andy Serkis involved. Like,
Yep.
full-blown. My tagline for the film, the bigger they are, the softer the balls.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yep.
Because
Yep.
Yep. I didn't say it was a good tagline. Don't look at me like that.
Well, I've got to say your film's great, so tagline whatever.
Cheers, mate. And soundtrack, that was an easy one. There's a Melbourne band called Sasquatch. So.
Bang.
My cast is Chris Hemsworth as Dan.
Yep.
Kathy Bates as Glurg. The Rock will be playing Torgon the Destroyer. Ronda Rousey as Penny and Taylor Lautner as Ricky.
Who's playing Felchburn?
Felchburn? That's Danny. It's Chris Hemsworth.
Oh, it's his last name.
That's our, yeah.
Oh,
Dan
sorry.
Felchburn is our main character.
I heard that name and I just...
Blacked out for about 10 minutes.
Bumped into a step with a Sasquatch. Sasquatch, kinda scary, kinda hairy, like bumped into a step with a Sasquatch. Bumped into a step with a Sasquatch. Bumped into a step with a Sasquatch, kinda scary, kinda hairy, like a mascot.
So Corey, what did you do in the 5 minutes you had spare at lunchtime today?
Well, between going to the bathroom and wiping my bottom,
Mm-hmm.
I managed to knock out this little baby. The headline is China cracks down on funeral strippers hired to entertain mourners. to attract larger crowds.
It's a solid headline.
It's a great headline.
Can only go downhill from here.
Your mate from Hong Kong, Oliver Nijoy.
Threw this one in. Second time he's
Shout out Oliver.
Thanks, Ollie. Appreciate it,
Legend.
mate.
This is a great one, mate. Chinese authorities are cracking down on the practice of hiring strippers as funeral entertainment as a technique some funeral families use to increase the turnout at a loved one's final farewell.
It feels a little inappropriate. I wouldn't want a pole erected nearby and anyone gyrating near his corpse.
I know.
So the reason they do it is to get bigger attendances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a status thing.
Okay.
The country's Minister of Culture said late last month it would be targeting striptease and other obscene, pornographic and vulgar performances at funerals.
What other sort of stuff do they do?
I don't know.
2 girls, 1 cup?
Well, no, I think it gets a lot darker than that, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
At funerals and other gatherings across Henan and Hubei and Zhuangzhou
Oh,
and
wow.
and Hebei provinces.
Wow.
The crowd is pushed to climax, roaring with laughter, whistling, applauding and cursing, state media said.
Pushed to climax?
Yeah.
As in jizzing in their pants at a funeral?
Maybe.
That's weird.
Strippers are also sometimes hired for weddings and temple fairs.
Yeah, I can see that a bit more.
An expert quoted in the newspaper partly attributed the practice to hiring exotic dancers to fertility worship, as the erotic elements at funerals convey the deceased wishes of being blessed with many children. So they've tried to make it cultural.
Oh,
I'm not buying it,
come on,
Josh.
mate, that's a real stretch.
Let's get to my pitch.
What have you done?
My film pitch is called The Stripping Dead. We open on a smoky, seedy strip club. Our 3 heroines, Isis, Lexus and Bambi, played by Rihanna, Zoe Kravitz and Cara Delevingne.
Oh,
Is
nice.
it Delevingne?
Delevingne, yeah.
Delevingne.
This is also Rihanna's second appearance on the
It
Brown
is.
Carpet
That's
podcast.
right.
Nice.
Go right, Riri. Rai?
Riri.
Riri. They are writhing
Rereading around.
Keep that in. They are writhing around to the cock rock classics of the 80s and doing their best to make as much guac as possible.
She's my cherry pie.
You son of a bitch!
Oh, yes.
You son of a bitch!
I knew where you were going with that. Thing
You
off the top
see
of the
straight through me. Anyway, that'll pop up later.
head. Okay.
Up front, they notice a particularly generous tipper, an elderly gentleman who looks very much like a cliche pimp. Diamond-encrusted cane, fluoro fur coat, and a gold-teeth grill.
The Mac Daddy.
His name is Toblerone McVoodoo. Played by DMX. Toblerone gestures for each of them to come sit on his lap, where he gives them each a single black $1 bill.
A black $1 bill.
Yeah, I'll explain.
Okay.
As he does so, he utters the words, Mortis est autem exultant lascibus.
How old is he?
He's pretty old.
You got him sounding like 90.
I know, sorry. Which is Latin for dance for the dead.
Oh.
Afterwards, as the ladies are counting their haul for the evening, they notice the black $1 bill.
They're counting their holes for the evening.
Counting their haul.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Why would the whole count change?
Hang on, I came in with 3, 4? I don't know. As they touch it, it disappears into thin air, the black $1 bill.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Cut to back at the ladies' shared apartment. The bills are mounting up, and all of them are barely earning enough to keep their heads above water. Isis, who is reading the paper, sees a want ad for a funeral stripping company called Pole in the Ground.
That's good.
The ad promises big bucks for the right girls who can cheer up the friends and family of the dearly departed.
It's a tough gig. No. It's a real tough gig.
Isis-
Don't cry over your dead mum. Stick $1 in my G-string.
Isis excitedly tells all the girls and makes the call. Cut to a funeral. The eulogy is done. The congregation of mourners look on in tears and sadness. The open casket looks lonely up on the stage. That is until the girls begin. We hear the full volume of Warrant's Cherry Pie blast over the church PA and the girls go to work.
Classics are classics for a reason.
Seductively bumping and grinding around the coffin. Hair and glitter fills the air and the crowd goes absolutely apeshit.
Nice.
Everything seems to be going to plan until we see the coffin start to shake.
Uh-oh.
The girls stop. The music stops. The mourners stop. A dead hand raises from the open casket.
Oh.
Ted? An old woman yells from the crowd of onlookers. Dead Ted sits up out of the coffin.
Teddy's back.
His head twists 90 degrees and starts laughing maniacally before yelling, Brains! Dead Ted launches at Aunt Shirley and scalps her in one swift move.
Whoa.
The crowd disperses in terror, leaving our ladies to fend for themselves.
Holy shit.
Yeah, jumped off, right?
3 ladies versus living dead Ted.
Yeah.
Awesome.
From the back of the church, we see a familiar figure. It's Toblerone. You ain't realised it yet, huh, bitches? You're mine now. The penny drops for the ladies as they realise they have been cursed by Toblerone.
I sprinkled voodoo all over that shit.
that the curse gave them supernatural powers, and that the funeral stripping company was nothing more than a ruse to get them raising stiffs.
In more ways than one, you dirty dog.
Quick-thinking Isis, Lexus, and Bambi have a plan. If stripping raises the dead, then surely doing the opposite will kill Toblerone. So to reverse the curse, they all run out, enroll in university, and graduate. This will be covered in a lengthy montage.
Okay, right.
The final shot is the ladies tossing their graduation hats in the air as Toblerone melts into a pool of liquid voodoo.
Oh, that's a weird end you've got there, mate. But I liked where it was going. But I can see exactly when you needed to go back to work.
You see straight through me, Joshua.
That's good.
The tagline is, and it's a spelling one, so you have to kind of read it to get it.
Okay.
They'll give you morning glory.
Oh.
As in morning.
Mourning the dead,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. Cast is Isis is Rihanna, Lexus is Zoe Kravitz, Bambi is Carla Delevingne, Toblerone McVoodoo is DMX.
Nice.
10 million to do it, just to get the cast, I reckon.
Sure.
And
do that pretty cheap.
soundtrack, obviously Warrant, Poison, Motley Crue, like cock rock music. That's it.
I gotta say, it's better than I expected.
Really?
I had low expectations. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Did you like the twist? AKA,
They all
I
step
need to
off
finish this.
to do 4 years of education, close out the film in a 4-year montage.
And it's a feel-good story.
It is a feel-good story.
They got degrees. They went on to become successful women. Yeah.
Future looks bright. It's great, mate. Cool. Your end sequence, I feel, is where it falls down. I feel like you got a great start going. You got a good first third of a film there.
Yep.
And then it's like the third scene of the film. We then cut to a 60-minute montage.
Josh,
to close it out.
I like to just get right to the end. You know what I mean?
Right. Get to the meat and potatoes.
Get to the meat and potatoes. Let's not dilly-dally.
No need to dilly-dally.
No need to get down in descriptions.
I feel like you wrote a short film today. I don't think you wrote an entire feature film.
This is a 2-minute film.
Right. Yep.
AKA comedy sketch. Okay. You could film on a Saturday.
With time left over. And that's it. That's all we have time for this week. That was episode 15. It is done. It is over. You got 2 films to consider. You got my film, Sasquatch Puncher, and you've got Corey's film,
The Stripping Dead, which you should pick.
Well, if you got taste, you'll know which one to pick.
Well, it's between a 3-hour film about a Sasquatch no one cares about, or a nice, short film, The Stripping Dead, a zombie film about strippers. What more do you want?
A 30-second TVC with no ending, basically.
Either way, they should jump on the polls on Facebook, like the Stripping Girls.
Yep, get on the polls. You'll find it pinned to the top of the Facebook page. Vote for the one that you think is least shithouse. At the end of the week, we'll pick a winner and a movie poster will be made.
Also, if they want to get at us, what should they do?
Email us at thebrowncarpetpod@gmail.com.
Facebook, send us a message.
Get on our DMs on Instagram. We're on YouTube. You can find us everywhere. You can find us on Stitcher, Spotify, a whole plethora of options for you.
That's right. Don't forget to flush, guys.
See you, cunts.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
Jumped over 3 linebackers in midair, sprouted endless like a gazelle.
No one laughs at a master of quack fool.
Real nice. Many have died from starvation due to the difficulty of finding enough food, such as seal.
Shut up. No more Mr. Nice Duck. That's it. Right, Mr. Sitz?
What do you make of that? You know, it's the most fantastic story I've ever heard.
The Brown Carpet Podcast.
Josh.
Corey.
What's your deal with... Do you... what... Josh.
Corey.
You wouldn't sort of email anyone at 2 a.m, like a famous celebrity. You're not that type of guy, would you?
That would be madness. No, I didn't. All right, at 2 a.m, I might have emailed Henry Rollins and asked him to be on the podcast, if I'm completely honest.
Aim high. He was in a band, not a very important band, if you're listening, Henry.
Mate, let's not talk about one of the all-time greats.
Is he just a guy that just talks a lot, travels around the world?
He does a bit of that.
Yeah.
He's known to pick up a mic and have a chat.
Never heard of him. Anyway, I'm such a cunt.
I was thinking Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah, cool. Thor.
He does dumb shit. I actually know a guy who's one of his good
You
mates.
can get to Chris Hemsworth.
I can get straight to Chris Hemsworth.
You think you're going to fit Thor in this place?
Mate, I'll drag his fucking hammer in here.
Should we say that we've got Thor coming on?
Yeah, let's lock it in. Thor will be here next week.
Yep.
Yeah.
Big
Big
foot, big budget.
big nuts.
Yep.
Yep.